Welcome back, or should I say, welcome for the first time to Viewer Discretion with Mina Kimes and David Diss Jr., the podcast formerly known as Love is Kimes. We are rebranding because we're expanding. I didn't even think
hey-oh!
So in case you missed the announcement, or maybe you open your podcast app and you are surprised to see a pod from us in the Love is Blind off season, David and I love podcasting together so much that we are now going to do it on a regular basis. New episodes drop on both audio and YouTube, whatever platform you prefer. YouTube has the great graphics from Brian Manikin, by the way, every Thursday morning. And we are kicking things off with a show that is a massive commitment. But we're doing it for a reason. And David, I have to say, 2 episodes into the new season of Love Island USA, I already feel really good about our decision.
Yeah, me too. You know, so Love Island was you have been telling me since we started the reality journey. You've been like, Love Island is the thing to do. You got to get on it. And I said exactly what you just said. It's a commitment. I don't know how I feel about this. I was like, I just remember texting back in all caps every day. Like, this is what I felt. And like, because I didn't understand, because people be tweeting about it. And I'd be like, why are you tweeting about it all week? And it's every day. And I was like, I'm never doing it. And then there was a gap in time. And I caught up and watched Love Island season 6. Last season, Love Island USA season 6. Immediately locked in. Janae may or may not have had something to do with it, but I was like, I'm going to see this through. I loved it. It is like, it's the best. Love Island season 6 to me is an all-timer of a reality TV show season, I think.
So to fill folks in a little bit on my Love Island background, I've watched many UK seasons, I think maybe like 6 or 7 of them. Happy to talk about those at any point with anybody. There have been some amazing UK seasons, and I've only watched a couple of the US seasons before this past one, which, David, so until this last season, Love Island USA was pretty widely viewed as the inferior product to Love Island UK, the OG show, which is like a sensation in the United Kingdom. But last season kind of broke through in a way we really haven't seen from a reality show in a long time. Like, the stars of last season are legitimate celebrities. I was at the Super Bowl this year, and Cordell Beckham, who won, spoiler alert, season 6, showed up. And I think I texted you, he might be more famous than OBJ, older brother, at this point.
Yeah, I think the phenomenon is like, and I saw somebody, I can't take credit for this, was like, this is probably the most famous cast of reality TV stars, like, since, Jersey Shore. Since the Jersey, like, that's what we're talking about. Like, everybody knows Cordell, everybody knows Janae. I think those are probably the 2 breakouts of the season, Cordell and Boo.
Well, PPG. Right. PPG, as the group of 3 girls is called, the best girlfriends, Janae, Serena, who was my personal favorite, and Leah. They really, to me, were like the superstars. So much so that when this cast for this season came out, I think it was like a high bar, and people were looking at like Taylor, and they were saying he's just an imitation Cordell, and Huda is just an imitation Leah, and obviously it really broke down along Rachel. And so there was a lot to live up to coming into this season, is my point.
It was, and I think we're getting to a good place. Like, we're getting to a good place about, and I just want to say on the macro level of, like, I was thinking about why I love Love Island as a show in general. And I think part of it is the fact that nobody knows what's happening, including the producers. So you get like a very real edit, like you get, and it sort of mimics real relationships. Like, things kind of like seem like they're going somewhere, and we all think they might, and then they just kind of fizzle. Yeah. And then they because like there are times where people just like, we talked and it seemed good, and it just kind of like, what happened to them? And they just kind of didn't, like, it just has this very authentic way of happening. And there's just such good communicators. Like, it makes me feel good about people that, for the most part, a lot of people communicate really well, for the most part.
Are they? Because at one point, my husband tried to walk with me, and he was like, I can't handle these people talking. He watches Love is Blind with me. No, I think you hit on what makes the show good, and why the relationships like seem to work better in some ways, or seem more real, which is it is a lot more like the real world or Big Brother. It's all of these people living in houses together, and there are contrived moments, like they have to make decisions. We'll get to the decision that they have to make, of course, at the end of episode 2, which is where we left off, by the way, the end of episode 2. But you get to see relationships develop organically. It doesn't feel super fake or super forced. And when the two people do connect, it's like really fun and kind of cool to watch. The production is the one fine thing I'll mention. Like, I think that's the other reason why the show is so good. And it was really, even the way, for example, they did the final ceremony at the fire pit, where it used to be for like this, the way they ended it was if people were willing to be stolen, they had to stand up, which is great because it leads to so much more drama, because a lot of people who are standing up don't get picked, then they have to go tail between their legs back to the... It didn't used to be that way. They used to just have the bombshell steal someone. And so, you know, it was kind of like, well, okay, but this person wasn't even complicit. So my point is just that these producers are very smart. And I think that's been something that's kind of happened over the last couple of years with Love Island. They've gotten really good at finding the right moments to engineer controversy, stir the pot, so that for at least the first 75% of the season, there's never really a dull moment.
And if you want to see how in depth the production staff goes, just look at the opening dance number that lasts 5 minutes at the beginning.
I know they're all too good at dancing. I don't trust this. These are all influencers.
Yes, absolutely. There was a little bit too much dance, even though Taylor kind of threw you off the scent there with the with the dance.
He's an interesting one. First impressions. So we're gonna organize this the same way as Love is Kimes. We're gonna discuss them by relationship, because the relationships in Love Island are like, you know, formalized, even though they often are abandoned pretty quickly. Then we'll do power rankings, and then we'll have a segment called Overtime, where we're going to talk about other shows we're watching. But before we get to the couples, I want to ask you kind of just original cast. Yulissa. Should we talk about her here? We can talk about her relationship. Generally, what did you think of the first OGs, as they call them, men and women, when they showed up?
So I thought they were, for the most part, pretty delightful. Yulissa, I mean, you can't really talk about her from, like, I tried to think about how I would think about her if I just saw her and didn't know anything else. But it's hard to do because you know all the other stuff about her.
I guess we should get to this right away. Okay, so one of the OG women, Yulissa. A lot of so the other thing about Love Island that's unique is it's actually happening in real time. They turn around the shows very quickly, but this isn't like Love is Blind, where it's a year later we're watching, it's heavily produced. They can deal with everything. People are finding stuff out about the contestants, and it came out before the show even premiered that there was, I believe, it's great that we don't have to say allegedly, it's just out there, 2 videos of her saying the N-word very casually in conversation, then immediately speculation about, like, are they going to let her stay on this show? Spoiler alert, they don't.
They don't. They get, because you would assume, based on how the show is, like the first one aired on Tuesday night, so you think probably they filmed maybe Monday or something like that, right around maybe even late last week, and like all of this stuff started percolating on the internet after the cast gets revealed. There are these 2 clips of her dropping N-bombs. Of course, Yulissa is Cuban and white.
From Miami.
Miami, and dropping N-bombs. And then there was also, we should talk about the other stuff, that she is a very proud Trump supporter.
There's a lot of stuff that came out. Go to the Reddit for Love Island and just look up her name if you want to see it.
Very Trump supporter. And there's folks who are like, you know, and Love Island for a lot of folks is like a liberal, like, you know, sort of just like, you know, not a lot of open Trumpers who are on there.
There are ones who are, the N-word is what.
The N-word, I think, is what did it. So when you go to Yulissa's page, or like the Love Island for Yulissa, everything is like, do not unpack your bags, cannot wait for you to vote you off, all this stuff, especially after the N-word stuff happened.
Yeah, so I will talk about her, but ultimately they just disappear her. Ian Sterling, who's the delightful British host, just says, Yulissa has left the villa. It was like full on Hunger Games.
I missed it. I was like, where's Yulissa? I missed this. I missed that they said it until you texted Yulissa. I was like, what did she do? And then I was like, wait, she's not. I totally absolutely missed, like, blinked and missed that they mentioned that she was gone.
It would have been funny if like they just replaced her with someone like Aunt Victor. Like, similar looking, you know, they got a whole, you know, like puppy litter of hotties waiting to be thrown into the mix. Find one that kind of see if anyone notices, you know.
Olandria woke up and she was kind of like, oh, it's so noisy last night, because she was packing her up again. They were like kicking her out the room.
Yikes. My first impressions class of the cast is they all have like looked like other people to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote down my names. This has the potential to be really offensive, but I'm going to tell you everybody reminded me of. Yulissa reminded me of Leah Michelle
Okay.
of Doesn't
Yes.
Enable to Read fame.
Uh-huh.
Ace, this one you would know, reminded me of Toby, who is a Love Island UK legend.
Okay,
People can look
gotcha.
him up, looks really like him. Toby
Yeah.
was a guy who people compared a lot to Chris Brown, so I guess Chris Brown via 2 other
Right.
degrees. But
Okay.
Nicholas reminded me of Rafa Nadal.
Okay, Rafa. I was thinking Smallville.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Marsden, the guy who plays Cyclops. I was thinking one of those.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a better one. Oh, James Marsden. I wish I thought of that. Chelley reminded me of Halle Bailey.
Little Mermaid. Yeah, Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Halle
Bailey. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeremiah looks exactly like a guy who won Love Island UK, this dude Kai, which actually is really confusing because they seem to be very different. Kai was this like super kind of sardonic, straightforward guy who everybody ultimately came around to fall in love with. They look a lot alike. Austin, who's really maybe like the
a
tough one.
A tough one for Austin.
He reminds me of the dude from This Is Us.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw the Twitter was agreeing with you about him.
Twitter was on that?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. And then Huda reminds me a little bit of our friend, Molly Karam, the host of First Take. Very complimentary for both sides. Yes. That's all I got. Actually, that's pretty much the entire cast. Yeah.
They are pretty derivative. This is like if there was like a remake of Love Island, or like a dramatization of Love Island. This would be what a cast would look like.
Let's start with Huda and Jeremiah because they have the least complicated one because there's no love trying. They're locked in on each other. Mm-hmm. Huda, 24-year-old single mom, had her daughter when she was 19. She's a fitness coach and looks like a fitness coach.
Yep.
Jeremiah is a model / caterer in LA whose first video, he talks about the fact that he cheated and regrets it. Great start. They lock in on each other. Let's start right here. Too long to not tell him she has a kid, right? Okay, wait, so I should have actually let you. Take the
First of all, we're talking about Jeremiah. He actually looks like he like dresses like Instagram ads. Like he looks like the Instagram ads that come on my feed, like the gold chain ads that like I don't know if you get those in your algorithm. They get them in mine. He looks like
nothing that anyone wears on this show appears in Mina Kimes' algorithm.
Jeremiah looks like
cringe mom stuff.
It looks like the algorithm of like you would look good in this. Like that.
He's a model.
He is a model.
He's very handsome.
He is a good looking.
Everybody's good looking.
Insanely hot. So I knew this was going to come up because I haven't seen a lot of talk about Huda and her it was a weird segue conversation. But I will say this in her defense, full disclosure, for those who don't know, single parent here, and like has dated in that space. It is the most nerve-wracking part of dating when you're like that is like there are things that you like all the stuff that you do is like has its own set of nerves. Telling somebody you have a kid and you're a single parent, there's nothing more nerve-wracking than that when you're like trying to get to know them and all this stuff. So I get the hesitation, I get the weirdness. I kind of also do feel like there may have probably should have been a game plan for this coming on the island. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like there should have been like some sort of like.
You mean on her part?
On her part. Some sort of like.
I thought the game plan was like wait past night 1 and then do it.
Yeah, I think.
Night 1, I was like, okay, I get it. You don't want to.
Yeah.
I saw she was getting ripped by some people for not like straight up, just right out the gate telling you. She tells the girls and then she's like, please don't tell anyone I want. And they're like, cool, yeah. And then, like I said, they lock in, they make out night 1. And then she's like, I hope he's not an F-boy. It's like, and then. And he's obsessed with her, by the way. I mean, I wrote down like he's locked in. He's super dog peeing on a fire hydrant around her. Like
and so corny about it and like this very adorable.
Corny about it. Yeah, he tries to catch her.
Yeah, at the end of the when they're doing the thing and he's like, are you gonna stand up to match with the bombshell? And he's like, nah. You know, like he makes a big thing out of it.
About it. Yeah. There's this at the end of episode 1, there's this kissing game they play. Again, great production to create a little drama. And he's like, did you stand up? Like he's like, all I wish to say, so they have this conversation and they're somehow it gets to their houses and it's like she has a 3-bedroom and he's or I forget what it was,
It was
but
a 2-bed, and
2 bedrooms.
he was so like, why do you have another? Like, it wouldn't cross my mind to ask somebody that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was such a weird. I'm sure it threw her off because he was like, he
Yeah.
jumped to like, why do you have a 2-bedroom? And I wouldn't think twice somebody said a 2-bedroom place.
So she's like, I'll tell you later, which is insane. I'm sorry. I like this woman. I really want to defend her, but that's the point where I'm like, all right, this is too much.
I will give a little grace because it is an extremely stressful thing to do. But I think that there should have been like some plan on her part,
especially because he was so locked in. Like
and they're both locked in together. Yeah,
they're both locked in. Everybody else is pretty fragile at this point. / not into each other.
Right. Yeah.
He's there. She's like, you don't have to reel this man in. He is there.
Yeah.
Now I think it's actually getting to the point where
he might feel away if he doesn't.
Justifiably.
Yeah,
and I'm not on his side, like in the broader sense of things, maybe, but I don't know, man. It's been but counting days, it's the end of episode 2. It's been 3 days, I believe.
Yeah.
That's too long, man. It's too long.
It's getting there. It's getting there. I will hope that by the end of this week, that conversation is had. Like we'll give her because I think that he'll be like he'll be fine with it ultimately. I think he will be fine with it ultimately. But
I think he's too far gone.
Yeah, you got it. But you also got to kind of like give him that chance to like make that decision on his own at this point.
I also liked when Sierra, the bombshell, was pulling everyone, and he was literally like so cold to her and like trying so hard not to show interest in the game, the kissing game. Or no, pardon me. I should have mentioned this. The very beginning, the way they have is the women kiss 2 men, and then they choose one, and Huda chooses him and he's delighted. And then I think it was
Yulissa, right?
Yulissa, yeah. And he doesn't even kiss her. He
kisses her on the cheek.
I don't think I've ever seen that on Love Island, to be honest. Like, so this dude was.
Well, we got 2 cheek kissing people.
Yes. Let's not talk about them for now. Let's move on to the most desired woman in the villa.
Yeah.
I guess until Sierra. That's not really, that's a little bit complicated. Chelley, who couples up with Austin. Chelley is a day trader. Says that people are surprised when they find out because they're surprised she's smart. She also dates girls, which I put a pin in that. That'll come up at some point. At the beginning, she actually chooses Ace, who gets stolen by Yulissa.
Right.
And then she also kisses Austin, so she ends up with Austin. Austin... Not a lot going on there, man. Not a lot.
Yeah, Austin. Austin is right behind Yulissa on getting like I don't like I just don't. There's no because even at the I mean I don't want to skip on Austin, but like right from lives in Fort Lauderdale or from Fort Lauderdale, one of the two.
Oh yeah, I moved there. Yeah.
And sort of at the end when he gets up to like go be chosen by the bombshell, I'm like, there was no point. Like I understood you got up, and everybody's acting like it was a big deal for Chelley. She didn't care.
She did not care.
Did not care at all. And it's like he stood up there and he had on those like pants, those like goofy shoes, and I was just like, dude, nobody's picking you. Just sit back down. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, I think that one was pretty unobjectionable to me because I think he stood up. I don't even think they showed him in the bombshell talking.
Right? Yeah.
They did. He stood up because he knew his woman wasn't into him at all. It's very obvious, and I don't hold that against him. I don't think she did either. How do we feel about the fact, before we get to some of the other stuff in the episode, these 2 episodes, that she and Ace knew each other? So Ace, let's just
all right,
crack the ceiling on this, or break the 4th wall, or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's an influencer.
Yes. 1 million or so followers. Yeah.
Huda also is an influencer, I would say, to a lesser degree.
Yeah,
but Ace is like, I think, if I understand, he teaches people around the world how to dance.
Yeah, so he does these dancing things, but I think he also did this thing where he was like doing these dances with cancer survivors or like cancer patients, things like that. That kind of was also viral, where he was like would do. So
he's a viral dance guy.
Viral dance guys, and I think that was one of the things that endeared him to. Before this show, he was on the Jennifer Hudson show. I don't know if he did the tunnel or not, but he was like doing that type of stuff. So he is like, pretty famous, a pretty famous dude. Monica McNutt follows him. So we need to ask her what.
Wow, putting Monica on blast.
find out how she knows a guy.
What would you do if you were doing your Instagram scouting and you found out one of these people followed you? Would you be?
Well, you remember the Love Is Blind, one of the Love Is Blind guys who nobody like followed
Me.
Followed you for football takes.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I was like, ooh. It's like they're looking at you back through the TV. Right. Like, oh. Ace. I wrote down 4'10". I meant to write down 5'10", but I think that was my subconscious saying, "There's no way this man is 5'10".
Right. Yes.
Which my husband. I think we got accused of short shaming in the past. Yes. I'm not short shaming him. My husband is not 5'10". I'm just saying I don't think he actually is. And he makes jokes about it. I kind of like him. I'm sorry. Yeah. He says if he sees a taller woman, he'll chop that tree. He'll be like a chihuahua on a Great Dane. I mean, that's funny. I like a short king who is ambitious.
Yes, he is. I liked him a little bit less in episode 2 than I did in episode 1. Same. But he came in with a good energy, endearing kind of guy. Looks like Conceited from Wild 'N Out. That's another person he looks like, which you may have to look at. You know, the meme of the with the cut. Anyway, yes. Yeah.
He has just such a strong case of F-boy face.
Yeah.
That it's going to be hard to overcome our distrust of that. But he's got a interesting story. He grew up he describes the gutter of LA, sleeping in a bed with his mom, 6 siblings. He's only 22. He seems like somebody who really made we use influencer in like a derogatory way. I feel like, or perceived it that way, but I feel like he's somebody who made something of himself and
probably makes more money than anybody else in the show.
Right, yeah. Definitely more than what does Olandria do? Oh no, she works at the elevator company.
Yeah, she works at some sort of elevator company. They make elevators.
Good jokes there. So him and Chelley, their backstory is they followed each other, which a lot of Reddit people noticed, and I believe they met outside the club. Yeah. He tried to get her to hang out with him. She didn't. But then they followed each other. But then they lived in different places. Does it feel too engineered to you, or do you think we just have to accept that we live in a post-geographic world where hot people just know each other?
Yeah, and he has a million followers. Like this dude,
yes, a lot of people follow him.
Right. I'm sure if they were in the same place, he would gravitate towards her because she is smoking hot and. He's famous. Like that makes a ton of sense. And at first I kind of felt a weird sort of this feels engineered type of deal. But then as they kind of moving on, this feels like the sort of plot crux of the season so far is these two. There's a direct gravitation towards them. I was rooting for them, was more so than I am now. And wanted them to find themselves together. And their gravitation around each other is it's there. It's all there. We're all just kind of waiting for it to happen.
I do want to, when the first picking ceremony, I would call it, happens, he gets stolen by Yulissa and he is visibly distraught and says, I effed up, because he sees what Jeremiah did to hold on to his girl. Yeah. So it's obvious. It's very clear that he wants to be with Chelley. And then when they finally get to talk, it's also very clear that they have more chemistry than they do with anybody else.
And the Yulissa, that's when I was like, Yulissa's going to she's going to get ravaged on the internet. People already don't like her. And she's the only person who stole somebody from somebody else and went directly for the influencer guy. It just felt yucky. And I did not like Yulissa for doing this. But also, Mina, what was more rigged? Was it the Mavericks getting the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, or Yulissa being pulled last in the kissing game? Which one was more rigged? Because I was like, there's no way she's going last here.
Yeah. What do you think was the?
I mean, it just I don't know if it was rigged or not, but it just felt like the drama was already there for kind of this messier person.
They needed somebody to make a steal.
Right. Yeah. This messier person to go in there and shake things up and steal somebody. And she was the perfect person to do it. You knew as soon as they picked her name, she was going to be the one to steal somebody. and it just felt like she was getting in the middle of the couple everybody wanted at the time.
I wonder if a lot of them knew who Ace was, or that he had
Yeah,
already.
that's what I was wondering.
Because
yeah.
I think back to like last season when this kissing thing, when the first picking, it wasn't done in the same way. They changed it up to make it more messy, which again, producers are very good.
Right.
But nobody knew that Cordell was OBJ's brother beforehand.
Right.
And I wonder if in retrospect he would have gotten more interest if people had known that. So the same way, like Ace was very desired.
Right.
Maybe that factored into it.
Yeah.
You know, he has this clout that comes with him. I don't know. But back to Chelley, because a lot happens to Chelley in these 2 episodes.
Yes.
So she ends up with Austin, and obviously their conversations are terrible.
Wanted nothing to do with. There was no parts. No parts of this.
He was like kind of trying to show interest in her.
Yeah.
And I think he was distraught when she got chosen. So they do this at the end of episode 1. There's this second kissing game.
Yeah.
Ariana returns, and the way the second it's confusing. The way the second kissing game works is everybody's blindfolded, and they all have the opportunity to get up and kiss someone else if they're interested in it. Nobody can see who's kissing. Nobody can see, but some of them can kind of like tell because they can hear. And not everybody does. I wrote down somewhere where they all, but like it's not the whole.
There's not a bunch of them. Like Huda and Jeremiah didn't go anywhere.
Yes.
Olandria.
Am I saying her name right?
Olandria, yeah.
Olandria does. She stands up and kisses Ace.
Yeah, she kisses Ace. Belle-A does not go anywhere. Chelley went and kissed Ace, of course.
Yes.
She did.
Nick
Taylor
kisses Olandria.
Yeah.
Taylor is sad. Yeah.
Yeah. But can we talk about the function of kissing here? Because like, and this has been a thing since the first season. There's 2 things about the kissing. One, I think I'd be kind of grossed out by like all the kissing.
It's too much.
It's too. I think I would be
all in a rush. The one where they do the best kisser challenge.
I
is
feel like
disgusting to me.
Yeah, it's just like too germy. I'm like, I don't know what. I can't imagine what, like, you know, I'm not in my 20s anymore, but even still, I'd be like, this is kind of grossing me out.
I'm so glad you're talking about this. One of my great fears in life
Mono
is being asked to go to a restaurant with the lights off. Talking about? You ever seen those like eating in the dark things?
Yeah.
And it's like an experience that people want to have, and it's like, ooh, what you can really taste food, and I'd be like, I don't even like eating in a movie theater that serves food. Okay. It's gross to me, and I hate that. And in part because when you're, I don't know, we're going down this road. When I can't see, it's like all of your other senses are heightened.
Yes.
I don't know if that's real or if it's just Spider-Man.
That's what they do.
Anyways, I feel like if I had to be blindfolded and I was being kissed by a ton of people, it would be so heightened and like what? Who's this now?
I feel like I was like suffocating, and it's just like gets slippery. It's just so there's that part of it. The second part of it is that this is giving me real kiss insecurity. Like everybody's got like their moves. Like Olandria is like giving you the full, like she's like sucking your whole face down. Like there's like all this passion.
Olandria is going through this season tongue first.
Right. She's up in there. She's just like. She's just. I
really like her. I think she's really funny.
I love her.
She has a very big moment at the end, but she's just like chop.
Just and it's like it's straight. Like people she doesn't even like. She's just like there's like I'm gonna like fine, just like open up her mouth like carnage, and she's just like taking your whole face and just like and like. But it's also giving me like I'm like I don't think I have a move. You know what I'm saying? Like they got moves and they got like the thing they have like go tos. I'm getting like I get real bad kiss insecurity watching Love Island. I feel like I gotta like, you know, step it up a little bit. Those are just my kiss tangents watching the show.
When they finally do the kissing challenge, they're always way too aggressive because they're like, how do I win this? By grabbing the person's body and butt and neck and like jamming my tongue down the throat, whatever. Anyways, after this kissing game happens, the bombshells show. We see the bombshells, and that's how the first episode ends. And the first bombshell, we're still on Austin and Chelley. It's pertinent to Chelley. Is a British guy who has a face that I can only describe as a Bridgerton face. Like he looks like when you're watching like a Bridgerton, you're like, is this person hot or are they
Yeah.
just on Bridgerton?
Yeah.
That's how I
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
when this British guy showed up. I
Yeah.
just really couldn't tell.
Just an in it face. That's what it is.
But he's obviously a very good looking guy. Seems nice too. I
Yeah.
have really no issues with this guy.
Seems
Obviously,
fine.
great taste. He picked
Yeah.
Chelley, who's a lovely. Oh, that doesn't happen until. But well, I guess we should stick with them. He takes her. So they. This is another new thing. The bombshells take them to the hideaway for a night, which
Right.
again never happened. They don't really. It doesn't seem like that steamy between them.
Yeah, not at
the
all.
Hideaway. There's not that much going on there. But Chelley at the end, the way it works at the very end is they stand around the fire pit, the bombshells stand up, and all of the OGs are asked if they want to have the opportunity to be picked.
Yeah.
As you said, Austin stands right up because he knows Chelley's not into him.
Right.
And Chelley doesn't.
Yes.
Which just told me she's all in on Ace.
She's waiting on Ace to like get her. I think she's waiting on Ace to, and then like Ace is like being an idiot. He's being such an idiot about all of this right now because like when they talked, he was so like in the second episode, he was so like trying to flirt, but like being way too cocky and way too like, too cool for school. And like,
oh yeah, you didn't like when he was like, yeah, you kissed me. She's like, yeah, and he's like, I didn't know until now. I was like, all right, what are you?
Yeah,
for?
and then he was like, yeah, you put a little extra lipstick. Was it him that was like, you put a little extra lipstick on there to market territory or something? Like, like she was like, no, I didn't. And he was like playing and then he was like still doing this thing with Huda where he's like got an eye for her, and he was a little messy with Jeremiah too because he was like, she might have kissed, like
yeah, that was weird.
But he wouldn't have kissed her.
Yeah,
but he was acting
like trying to plant doubt in Jeremiah's
and I'm just like, you have a 10 out of 10 right here in your face. Like, don't be an idiot. And he's just like, he's not. He hasn't done anything like too terribly egregious. But it's like,
besides having his name tattooed in giant letters on his back,
that was a legitimately funny narrator thing where he was. Yeah, that.
Shout out to Ian.
Yeah, his tattoo. Ace looks like. He looks like those when you go to the barbershop and they have those like paintings on the wall and it's like the big muscular like black dude holding like being Atlas and all that. Like it looks like that guy painted Ace's tattoos. He just looks like Ace looks like a barbershop wall. That's what his body looks like with all the tattoos.
Can you imagine being on a date with Ace or maybe even like hooking out with him the first time? This reminds me of Daniel and Taylor from Love is Blind and how Daniel had her eyes in the front. And you have no idea he has a tattoo until he takes his shirt off and walks away to go to the bathroom for the first time.
You don't have to because he could turn around and there's like a lion and a toddler looking at you on his chest and a big, gigantic blonde-haired Jesus on his shoulder also doing the whole thing. Like it's a little much.
Yeah, he kind of playing it cool. He's also talks to Sierra about The Alchemist, which is every athlete's favorite book.
Yes. Yeah.
He stands up, but he has to stand up. It wasn't a decision, which I thought was interesting. They didn't have to do that, but he did. He stands up. Ultimately, he's not chosen. She chooses Nick, who we'll get to now. Nick and Belle-A.
While we're talking about Chelley, I think it's cool. We sort of texted back and forth about this about Chelley. Is like one thing I've loved about Love Island and like this season especially at least the beginning is there is a dark-skinned black woman who is the most desired person on this show, right?
Yeah,
and
she is the number one draft pick.
The number one pick. Everybody, every dude on here except for Jeremiah, I think, has like wanted her at some point.
Yeah,
she's just and like it is so refreshing because like. One of my, as you know, since we've been doing these shows forever, one of my like big bugaboos and pet peeves and just like problems with these shows, a lot of times, like these color struck dudes just show up and they just want like light skinned women or like there's just like gorgeous black women, gorgeous dark skin. And they like when I look at Temptation Island or like even like Love is Blind. And sometimes people are just like, I just want to like find a, non-dark skinned woman and like all that, like, and then it's like they just get cast away no matter how good they look. And just like we have two seasons now. There's Janae. There's like there are these two women who are great, like greatly desired. while being beautiful dark-skinned women, and just like it's a beautiful thing to see, and it's very sadly rare in these reality shows.
Well, again, I have to give credit to the production of Love
Yeah.
Island because I think they just do a better. I know they cast someone who has 2 videos saying that we're not on the internet,
Right.
but I think by and large they do a better job than most reality shows of casting people who are legitimately open-minded about
Yeah.
the type of people they're going to be attracted to, which is like you said, pretty unusual because you usually can tell right away. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Which,
for these last 2 seasons have been very actually diverse, not just like the sorting
yeah.
happened right away.
Yeah, because Married at First Sight. One thing that happened a few years ago, Married at First Sight. They said this doing the production things. They could not find like couples because so many of the black men would go on the show and said that their preference is not to have black women. Like that is like one of the reasons
Really?
that the show. Yeah, like that was.
I know that.
Like there's just so much of that in the show. I just had the Married at First Sight thing just popped in my head because it just like bothers me so much. Anyway, yeah.
Love Island USA. It's a better version of America. Okay.
Obama's America right there.
Rafa Nadal. Yeah, if only voting was. Yeah. So, Rafa Nadal, Nicolas, he's a nurse. I don't really like have a lot to say about him. He's just like a dude. He seems fine and nice.
Yeah.
And he also seems incredibly nonplussed. The second Belle-A.
Mm-hmm.
Why is her name spelled this way, first of all?
I don't know.
Okay. Reveals that she is taking things middle school slow, as he jokes at one point.
And a very religious 22-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And from Hawaii who kisses on the cheek. And Nicolas said, nope. I want no parts of that.
That was a great reveal for me. Mm-hmm. That she was like, because there's a lot of people who come on these shows who are like, I'm Christian, and then they immediately act. And I'm not like I don't have beliefs about what that should or shouldn't mean. I'm just saying that's normally, if you're on a show like this, maybe you espouse religious beliefs, maybe the bond over it, but they don't act like it.
Yes.
This is a woman who is standing on church business,
yes.
so to speak. And it solved the mystery for me and again, everybody has their own personal preferences or reactions. I was like, why is this Victoria's Secret model looking woman on Love Island? I mean, I understand that people are really like hot, but like she looks insane.
Yes.
And like 10 out of 10, just crazy. I'm like, what is going on here? Why she should be dating like, I don't know, Tyler Harrow. Not Ace. Nicolas. And then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Getting a little info here. Yeah, she does cheek kisses. Mm-hmm. And you could tell he's really conflicted because I think when he saw her, he was like, yes.
Yeah. But he says it. He was like, she's smoking hot. The chemistry is just not quite there. I wonder why, buddy. Like, and as the minute he gets to go into the like, the sex den, he's like out and he's like, I've made my decision.
Before we get to that part, should she be on Love Island? Let's throw that out here.
It's not the show for her. It's just not the show for her. Like, it's just not. And it's not like, there's nothing wrong with her. There's nothing like, it's not a bad thing. I just don't think that she's going to necessarily find that type of person on Love Island. She's just 22. She's 22 years old on an island full of bikinis and all that stuff. But she wants to like kind of take it slow. Like, I'm not sure who else is going to hop on the island and be like that. Like it just doesn't seem to work for me. Maybe there's like a Christian mingle island somewhere that she can like.
After the hideaway, they sit down and he tells her what happened. By the way, you can tell everybody on the show has watched the show because they've realized you should just say whatever.
You just got to say it, right? You just got to say it.
And he says they kissed. That's it. And she's like, "That's crazy."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Not really." He's like, "Not really, I'm crazy." And I'm like, "All right, you know what, Nicolas, I'm with you here. Like, it's not going to happen." Yeah. So Sierra, the bombshell from Arizona, takes him to the hideaway. They get pretty physical pretty quickly. The only conversation of note is where she talks about her love of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then
Yes.
he tries to fake his way through an entire conversation and pretend like he's seen it.
Yeah, he
Which
gave it a
took
shot.
me out.
You gave it a shot. You're already in the suite, guy. Just you don't have to do that. But good effort.
What do we think of Sierra, the bombshell, who ultimately we'll get to Austin stands up. We're going to get to the Taylor who stands up as well.
Yeah.
She chooses Nicolas. What do we think of her? Any comments before we move on?
She seems fine. Like I think one of the things that you like, we've also people who watch the show, they know that like when they come on the island, people are gonna like everybody's gonna probably like at least like not want them there, but kind of hate them sometimes, including the people. You got to endear yourself very fast. Her personality seems great. She got along with folks.
Yeah.
She talked to Jeremiah. It's like, she seems like you're really into that girl. That's cool. And then like, was very cool with everybody. Her conversation with Taylor was just kind of like delightful and cool. And she seemed like a nice lady.
She has a good personality.
Yeah.
All of that said, my 2-month-old son loves to, it's really a humbling experience. He loves to point at women he thinks look like me and say mama.
Okay.
For example, Brenda Song, who you might remember of Rams fan fame, formerly married to Macaulay Culkin. He pointed at a picture of her and said mama, and I kind of side-eyed him. As he was going up to bed, this woman was on TV, and he goes, mama! And I was like, no. Even though she's much more beautiful than me. It's not really about that.
Mina.
I was just like, this woman looks nothing like me. But so I have to say that poisoned me a little bit. Yeah, she seems cool. I'm curious to see the one thing about being a day 2 bombshell is people don't dislike you as much because you're not really
you're right.
Couple.
Yeah.
It's like
I think bombshells either generally come in and be like, F this, I'm going to steal your man or woman, and the other one's like, I'm just going to be buddies with everybody and play it cool and just see what happens.
Tough scene for Charlie, who nobody stands up for, by the way.
Did
you think anyone was going to stand up for him?
No, I didn't. No, because the guy stood up. Though I didn't think about it. I thought maybe there'd be like a spite stand up, like Bella might stand up for him.
Yeah.
But
Bella did say, rest your feet, king.
Right.
Maybe her best moment of the episode.
Right.
I felt bad for him. He handled it in stride. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, he also kind of put all his eggs in the Chelley basket too. Good so point. He didn't diversify enough. But like looking at the cast, I don't really see who he would have like worked out with anyway. Like it's just you get a bad draw.
Yeah, I agree. There's no one that really makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap.
Gone. So.
We're gonna wrap with what I am characterizing as the biggest fumble. Episodes 1 through 2. Olandria and Taylor.
Yeah.
Olandria. I apologize if I'm saying her name wrong. I gotta listen carefully. The way I have it spelled, I really have no idea now.
I think Olandria. Is it Olandria?
Olandria.
I think so. Olandria.
Producer Charlie, get in our ear and let us know. He's already clarified that she works for an elevator and escalator company.
Oh, there you go.
This seems like a match made in heaven. She's from... Oh, it's Olandria. Okay, my bad. She's from Decatur, Alabama. She wants a Southern man. She loves football. She's first generation HBCU.
Tuskegee. Boom, boom.
She's just like a down Southern girl.
Yeah.
Taylor. Oklahoma, like a real cowboy, competes. This is not a fake cowboy.
Yeah.
Is going to veterinary school, I believe, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Chelley reveals she didn't know ponies were real when he says I knew I like Olandria when in the beginning when they're picking people.
Oh no, okay. All right. I have a moment. I thought we were gonna pick
There's
the
a few moments
I
like her, to be honest. She kisses Taylor. And then she kisses Nick and says, "Come on, cream." I was like, "I'm in. I'm in with Olandria." She ultimately picks Taylor, and they have a bunch of like really funny, charming conversations. I felt. I mean, what did you think of their dynamic?
I liked it. Olandria, there was like a little bit of leaning into this Southern gentility because she was like quizzing this dude on like, where do you walk on the side of the road and all that stuff. And I'm like, whatever. I'm sure that floats his boat, and he made him feel. She wants a man to build houses and all that stuff. But Olandria cracked me up when she said, "You made me laugh. Men don't make me
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah. Or she was, I think it was like, I don't like man jokes
Right.
normally or something. The way she said it was so funny. She also corrects him when he talks about a gang of fish
Okay,
that you meet at school. Yeah, I like them. They do have a little bit of the Serena Cordell vibe. You don't
Yeah.
want to do the
Yeah.
derivative thing again, but like, and then so they do have another moment, which again I really liked in the moment, but now I'm like, ooh. So as we discussed, she stands up and kisses Ace.
Yeah.
Afterwards, he asks her, and she straight up tells him, and he reacts real cool in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, I'm glad you told me the truth."
Right. Yeah.
So I'm there sitting like I'm doing my power rankings during the episode.
Right.
I'm like, Taylor, because I love the
Right.
way he handled that. Didn't take it personally. Was cool about it. And then he stands for Sierra. This was the
Why?
only one that really got me. This was
Yeah.
the one where I was like, "What?"
Yeah, because they were like everybody was all the other guys stand up and everybody was like, "Ooh, like what's going on?" And I'm like, these were all logical stand up things. Like they made sense. Nothing like even Nicholas had already told Bella what was going on. Like this kind of Austin stood up because like he knew Chelley
Yeah,
wasn't interested.
didn't
Ace
care.
stood up because he had no choice. And so and the Taylor, I don't get it. I don't get why you're standing up. They had a conversation. I don't understand. Olandria, she seemed locked in with him, decently locked in. An unreal fumble because Olandria is also smoking hot, as all the women are, and it was rough.
I think, and then there was a moment that I want to talk to you about. It's awkward because a bunch of the men stand up, and all the women minus Huda are left there, and Huda, who's trying to be a girl's girl, is like, these men aren't like men enough for you or whatever. And Olandria's like, enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I saw she got like a little bit of backlash for that on the internet because I think people were like, why would you be so? But like I think that's just how she is. I think she's very like a straightforward person.
Right.
And I also think like it was a little bit performative on Huda's part, and I don't blame her for being. And she was the only one who I think was actually hurt. That was my
yeah. She was.
I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I see this is like a real moment. People on social media are like, "Whoa, cat fight!" I'm like, "Nah, I don't think this is gonna be a thing."
Yeah,
I think it was just an awkward moment, and I think it was a little bit of a clash of personalities.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see Olandria's like because people synthesize their emotions different ways. She's hurt. And like, is she going to address it with Taylor? Is she going to actually, or is she going to take it out on who? Like, it's just hard to tell to be interesting to see what that sort of conflict resolution is. Like, my Love Island experience is limited, but like, they seem to not be a ton of like cat fight type of stuff on the show. Like, people kind of make up pretty quickly after a little while.
You watched a season where the women liked each other a lot.
Yeah. So I watched that. They seem to like.
There have been some seasons.
Okay, so I don't know if there'll be like
girls
long-term things, but I think they'll be. I imagine.
No, I think they'll be fine. I think it was just an awkward moment. I think people are overblowing it. I do think that there's going to be a lot of upshot with her and Taylor from this.
Yeah, because you know what the thing is, I liked her and Taylor. I thought that they could make it, but I also felt like if a better person came along, that it could really put them in jeopardy. Like that's how I felt. And a better person did not come along here. Taylor just made a dumb decision, but I just thought that they needed some more time to like. They're not locked in like Jeremiah and Huda are. They need to be like,
Yeah, I listen. Reminder: if you had told me episode 2, episode 6, episode 12, episode 22 last season that Cordell and Serena would not only be together but be starring in CeraVe commercials during the next season of. By the way, the whole Love Island season 6 cast was like in commercials. I would not have believed you, and yet here they are. So it's a reminder, like a Love Island.
Yeah, a lot can happen. Yeah,
a lot can happen with these people, and a lot of times too, the people who end up being the most influential are bombshells. Miguel, who would have thought? Yeah. So we shall see. But that's I think a very promising first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
My power rankings shifted dramatically.
Yeah, buddy.
boy.
Overall, a delightful. I would say overall, for the most part, a delightful cast. Not
I like them.
people, and I think like the power rankings in general, like these power rankings are going to be so much different than Love Is Blind for now, because Love Is Blind are like go from people we like to people we absolutely despise. We're not gonna. There's not gonna be much of that here.
No, this is really just like who's winning the show in my
Yes.
mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, it's Chelley and Ace
Yeah.
at top. Chelley, the most desired woman, and right now they're both single.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and Frida. Well, I guess Chelley's technically with Austin because he gets dumped back to
Right.
her.
Yeah.
Anyways, point is that they're clearly gunning for each other, and I
Yeah.
think he gets a little. He got to do the stand up thing without any repercussions, so I think.
Yeah. I don't know. Ace was bugging me in episode 2. I would kick him down, especially the thing with Jeremiah where he was like doing the Huda thing and like being a little sneaky little person with that.
I think what that might foretell is that he is a stir.
Yeah, possibly.
I think that might just be kind of his thing. I'm going to put Sierra above Huda and Jeremiah.
Ooh,
might be surprising because I don't
Okay.
think Sierra's going to have like a ton of fans necessarily. But I think she has gone through these 2 episodes, found a man who wanted her, stole him without causing much drama.
Yeah.
She seems cool. I think she has the ability. She's got a long runway ahead of her.
Yeah. I think she's going to be one of the bombshells who like feels like an OG cast member.
Yeah, right.
Because she's
totally.
Yeah.
These 2 would be higher if there wasn't like speaking of bombshells, a giant bomb waiting off.
A 4-year-old bomb or wherever the age of the child is.
There's like a video of him circulating where he talks about he shouldn't be left alone with a baby or something. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, yeah, they're locked in. Like, are we really buying this dude as the dad who stepped up?
By the way, last time I was at Disney World, I saw an old white man wearing that shirt with like some kids. I'm not the stepdad. I'm the dad who stepped up.
Was it Bill Belichick?
It was like, hey-oh!
Send Pablo Torre to find out.
The granddad who stepped up. Yeah.
Throw Nick in here. I think he got out of his relationship without too much drama. He obviously, I don't know if these 2 are meant for each other. It's a little too hard to tell, but I think he got a nice exit, seamless exit, which is and he's also been unobjectionable, right? Like he hasn't really done anything bad. No one's blaming him.
He doesn't know how to make breakfast, but other than that, he's a cool dude. Struggles with grilled cheese sandwiches.
Somebody made like an amazing looking breakfast, but I didn't catch who it was. Okay. Next, I'm putting my girl, even though she's down only because of her situation, Olandria. I just really enjoy her personality, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to put her here, even though I don't think she's long for this world. Bella.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, my bad. Excuse me.
Yeah. I would not be, because she's vulnerable now. She's vulnerable. Ace is vulnerable, and Austin are vulnerable, right? Bella and Austin they're out of here. They just feel like they're out of here.
It's like Wally.
Maybe
there's like a Belle B.
There's a Belle B. Maybe there's a twin. Yeah.
Sorry. All right. This is tough now.
I think Huda. Let me go back to Huda. My hope is that, because they are making out pretty heavy in the previews for the next one, that I think she's got to like let
it over right away.
Very soon. Very soon she got to let him
know. So we've got Taylor, Charlie, and Austin.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna put Taylor here, even though it was a huge fumble. I think he has the ability to bounce back from it in a way. I think these other two dudes are gone.
They're gone. Like, they're out of here.
Yeah. Taylor, I think it's not gonna be pretty.
Yeah, he's gonna work for it. He's got to work for it. Yeah.
But he also, I think, outside of that fumble, I genuinely enjoyed him on my television. Good personality.
He didn't have to go sit right next to her. Like, he went over and sat next to her, and it was like, this is
tough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Charlie here next, just because I liked him more than Austin. That would be the British dude who comes from the fish and chips empire. I forgot to mention that. Most British backstory possible. I'm gonna put Austin, our guy Austin, last. Just
yeah.
Oh, I guess we'll put Yulissa. R.I.P.
Yeah.
That's got to be that's like an all-time. You go on a reality show, you're thinking you're going to be famous influencer.
Yeah.
and you're just dead on arrival. Like even
Yeah.
before you can even get any followers, the videos come out.
Yeah. Tough break. Tough break for Yulissa. Couldn't happen to a better person. You're like,
I don't think we won't do will they do it or do whatever.
yeah.
But maybe when we get closer to the end, or maybe post Casa more, we can do will they
Yeah,
get
we'll do.
together.
I can't
I
wait
would
for. There's like so much excitement about us talking about Castle More that
oh Casa.
I cannot wait to the Castle. I like so last season was my first Castle More experience, and I was so stressed out by what these dudes were doing. I could not take it. It was like one of the most stressful things I've ever seen in my life.
The moment where Aaron last season returns from Casa More single, sees Kaylor single, is smiling
Yeah.
like a cornerback who thinks he got away with pass interference or something. Like
Yes.
it's so that eating grin, and then the change of fortune. It lives rent free in my mind.
Yes.
The whole time recouplings.
Yeah. Well,
Just incredible
Cordell
stuff.
turning the corner and
Oh my god,
like, oh
incredible.
my god, that's rough.
But that's the thing. I mean, that's why I want to do predictions. Like I said, Cordell and Serena.
Never would. Yeah.
I watched the show after the fact last season, so the whole time I'm like, how? Even from the beginning, when it seemed like they were like she was friend zoning him over and
Yeah.
over, and then by the end, I was incredibly invested in them.
Yeah.
So,
They just celebrated their 1 year anniversary. Posted on Instagram. It was so adorable.
okay. So as always, starting now, we're gonna wrap with the segment called Overtime. So I should have said this at the beginning. We're not only doing reality love shows on
Right.
viewer discretion. We will be basically discussing whatever things in entertainment pique both of our interests. We both watch a lot of TV shows, movies, award shows, things like that. We are looking for suggestions for things in the future. So if you're waiting for a season of television to come back and you think it would be a good one, please leave a review. 5 stars. Leave a review anyways because it helps
Yes.
the algorithm, I believe. But we're going to use this segment to discuss things that we're not recapping. I'll go first and ask you, David, what are you watching right now other than the time commitment that is Love Island USA?
Love Island and the NBA Finals game tape is just grinding away right now. But I finished Forever,
I want
the
to watch that.
Netflix show. Mira Brock Akil, who has done all of the, like she did Being Mary Jane, she did a bunch of those type of shows, and it is just like the perfect teenage love story TV show. It's like an elevated CW show to like a elevated beyond a whole nother level, and acting is great. Like the characters
They're
are
kind
like
of
very
unknowns though, right? It's not like
yeah. There's nobody.
unknowns, but it's not like there's no famous people or the two
Yeah, the
stars.
kids, the 2 stars are not famous. What's Wood Harris is the dad, and he is like there should be Emmys in the future. He's so incredible as a dad. It's like really cool to like see parents and like kids and everybody just kind of like leads with love, and it's really cool. So I finished that. I didn't really have a high expectation for it because it was like seemed like a teenage high school
Were you
thing.
familiar with the Judy Blume?
No, I was
Judy
not.
Blume.
Yeah, Judy Blume.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was like it's based on Judy Blume book, which I've come to learn is like one of the most banned books ever.
Yeah,
Because
it's
about,
like a canonical.
yeah.
I read it when I was like 13 or whatever.
Really? Okay, gotcha.
Like
Yeah,
because it's about young love and losing your virginity and sexuality.
yeah,
Not in like a super graphic way or anything like that, but it is for a lot of people, like younger girls, kind of that introduction to that. And
yeah. So it kind of like has that care and all that stuff. And also, I am a Star Wars fan. I have watched most of the things of Star Wars, but I never watched Andor. So I am trying to get an Andor, which is a show that everybody, that a lot of people in our mention said you got to talk about Andor. So
I know
I'm making it. It's like for some, I don't know, for some reason, it's the only Star Wars thing I have not seen. I think,
and it's like it's like the greatest Star Wars
right.
content that exists. It's incredibly resonant in these times.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think these are like shows that we would have talked about Andor. We would have talked about Adolescence is the one that you and I both talked about. We would have talked about a lot. I just started a new show called Department Q, also on Netflix. And it is a show. I watch so many shows like this. about a detective working in Scotland who is trying to solve a cold case.
Okay.
He's played by Matthew Good, very grizzled, handsome, kind of mean Matthew Good. And it's really like brilliantly plotted and written. Like there's a moment at the episode 1 you're just like, it gets its hooks into you, and you're like, I want to find out what happens in this mystery. It's a mystery of like who committed this the crime. I don't even want to give it away because you haven't started. It's the subject of the first episode. But the thing that I think is kind of interesting about it is it's I don't think written, but it's produced by this dude Scott Frank, who also he wrote The Queen's Gambit. But there was this great New Yorker story about him like a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago. How I should send this to you. It's so interesting. He's like the script doctor who is called in to basically fix every movie and every TV show, and gets paid like $1 bajillion because he just has this like uncanny ability to plot.
Okay.
He's like so good at writing like propulsive plots. So he's, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like he's like the Timbaland of like he just like gets called in as like the finisher. Yeah, anyway, so it's, if you like mysteries and you like sordid crimes and stuff, and you like things that are really watchable, I recommend this show. I'm about halfway through, and I am really enjoying it. So Department Q and Forever, both on Netflix.
Yes. I know.
Love Island is on Peacock. I should have mentioned that to tell
Right, yeah. Watch it on Peacock.
Watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know, you could probably get through a trial.
Right. Yeah, if you just do a 30-day, I'm sure they got like little deals for you to get through 1 month. They know what's up.
Maybe they'll actually don't do it for that reason.
Right.
Next week, David mentioned the finals. We will be coming on Thursday. It'll be a little bit later because we're going to be recording early Thursday morning because David is actually going to be in Indianapolis covering the NBA finals. Which is, damn, imagine being on Love Island, not being able to watch the NBA finals.
I know, right? That's crazy. They don't even know. They won't know who won. They're going to miss SGA versus Halliburton.
Like, do you know Rachel, Rachel Lindsay, who was on The Bachelor?
Yeah,
she works in The Ringer. She has a podcast with Valley. She was on The Bachelor, and I think she said that like she was taping the season of The Bachelor when Obama won in 2012, and like we were all like waiting for producers to give them news because they didn't have the internet or something.
Wow.
But that's something funny like about these shows is like if you don't have the internet, you're just completely you won't miss like the tariffs coming and then going and then coming and then going.
Yeah. You don't. Why would you want to miss the news right now?
All right. Thank you as always to our producers, editors, Charlie Kravitz, Brian Madigan. We're going to be coming out every Thursday. Viewer discretion with Mina Kimes. I don't know why I felt the need to restate the title of the show. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I guess you can go find it on where you get your podcasts. Please leave a review. Please leave a YouTube comment. Hopefully this comment section can be as incredible as the Love is Kimes comment section, the only good comment section on the internet.
The only one, the last one.
Let's see if we can reproduce that with this show. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys next week.